It's great to see everybody. Phil from the rugby site, Darryl and Greg, two of our presenters coming into the Kingston Rugby Coaching Summit at Queen's University. Um, sort of wanted to get some thoughts on what objectives might be for the coaching summit and what attendees could expect. So, Darryl, this is your second year coming into the conference. What do you think some of the objectives and high level expectations that attendee might experience here?
Hey, Lev. Thanks for that, mate. Listen, last year the thing I really enjoyed about the summit was the learnings that I could take away. So even though I was there to be a presenter, but certainly learn from the presenters that were there and yourself, and learning a little bit about the whole culture and setup there in Canada, which was pretty exciting for me. So really looking forward to hopefully take some of those learnings away again. One thing in particular that I'm looking forward to in the summit coming up is getting some of that crossover sport where we've got a wrestling coach coming in this time, and we were talking about it a little bit before, but that sounds pretty exciting to me because it relates to that. Rugby is obviously a contact sport, and where that contact happens about body on body stuff, maneuvering weights and all that sort of stuff. So that's going to be exciting for me. But I guess for me the objective is, if we're going to spend some time together with a group of coaches, how can we make it more beneficial for the players we're working with? At the end of the day, if we're coaching, those players should be central to everything we do. So if we want them to be better at rugby, how can we coach it, get messages across so they're actually enjoying it and learning all at the same time? And that comes down to the way we coach, how we coach, what we coach, and also the environment we create. So yeah, those would be some of the key things for me coming up again. But as I say, Lav, the last year is personally for me just learning so much from the other presenters and Phil, yourself, and the coaches that were there. It was a great time.
Well, I really enjoyed it too. So, Greg, I guess this is your first time coming up to Canada. So,
Mhm.
what kind of expectations would you have coming into this year's event?
Yeah, thanks, Liv. Yeah, look, looking forward to coming to Canada. Been there a couple of times as a school kid on a tour, and when I was with Fiji, we played Canada as well. So, um, I look at the discussions we had before. I'm really interested in how your coaches are coaching. Really, it's and how we can layer what we do or the environments that I coach and how we can take the message from that we have and the methodology we have and see if we can layer that into to add value in your environment. Um, Certainly, there's a diverse range of teams I'm lucky enough to be involved in, and they all operate differently from a structured organization in Japan, through club rugby, through super rugby and provincial rugby here in New Zealand. It's going to be interesting to see what can be transferred and applied to the setting that you guys operate in.
That's a really great topic. I think the challenges of coaching varied by degree rather than kind. I think no matter where you are in the world, the challenges of coaching are pretty unique.
Mm.
So one of the interesting things that we had talked about was in terms of like assessing what the coaches who are attending the conference are looking for.
Definitely to learn, from the best in the industry on how to make engaging and impactful practice plans and different games and drills to use.
I came to the summit this weekend to learn from others, find out new ideas and different ways to think and use the drills and with my teams.
Can you talk to us, Darryl, a little bit about some of the educator skills and the pedagogical processes that we might be looking at in terms of building out some skill development for the group?
As a coach, whatever we do, we've got to put the player in the center. So, as Greg's just mentioned, wherever you're coaching, it's not just one way. You don't say, this is just my opinion. If I'm coaching in Japan, I don't do the same stuff with, say, a university team in Japan that I might do with a club team here in New Zealand or a team in Canada. So it's as a coach, one of the big skills is being able to identify what sort of techniques might work with your group. So Last year, one of the things I learned a lot was from Rusty Earnshaw and Jack Hanratty there about all the games for understanding and making sure that players are, different challenges within a game setting. So you've got that continuum with the autocratic style of coaching, right up to that, almost laissez-faire or really democratic, just let the players play. So I guess for me, in terms of working with the coaches up there, it's how do we find the point on that continuum where we enter with the players that we've got. So got things like I don't know if people are aware of the whole method, where you might go just let them play to start with to see what they've got, and then pull it back and start coaching the pieces to get back to just let them play again, and hopefully they're playing a bit better. Or you've got the chaining method where you just start putting little bits together. One of the things in my own personal coaching that I've enjoyed and tried to get better at is coaching on the run, which is basically making sure players are always moving. They're always active, but you're actually inserting yourself talking while they're still moving. So you've got to be pretty active as a coach, which is what I enjoy a lot in doing. So hopefully we can investigate some of those things, and with the different coaches here, they'll find a way to insert themselves into their own teams.
And we talked a little bit earlier about what a big role that relationship building and building a sense of belonging in the group. Greg, I was hoping you would be able to share a little bit about what your thoughts are in terms of like the ability for a coach to coach and their efficacy based on the relationship that they're able to build with their athletes.
Yeah, Lev, I think that's a huge element for me of coaching. I think the relationship base that you create with players and your fellow coaches, it sets the environment and the tone for the learning environment that you set up. Coaching in essence is teaching, and teaching needs to be reciprocal. And agency needs to be a large part of that. So player voice is really important, as is the ability to bounce ideas off fellow coaches and players as we're moving along. I like the idea that Darryl talks about coaching on the run. It allows, I guess, player voice and coach voice to be heard all at the same time in the moment. But definitely relationships cannot be understated, I think. It's not only allows the coaches to be on the same page, it allows the players to buy into the process, so that we have a collective understanding. And I think being efficient with time and being effective in achieving objectives is based on a collective understanding. And I think that only comes from having effective relationships between the group that's operating.
I love the word reciprocal as an overarching theme to teaching. That's great. And so one of the other pieces that we're kind of hoping to do is sort of establish like a high challenge, a high safety environment in the conference itself with its participants, and enable like a lot of like learning, sharing within the sessions themselves. So like Darryl, what would an attendee be able to expect from engaging with your sessions at the conference? Like, what would the dialogue be like? How do we facilitate that a bit?
Lab, I think in terms of presenting the session at this course, what I'd like to think is that there's full involvement there, so we're getting a lot back from the audience, because I don't know what they know, they don't know what I know, so it's a matter of trying to pull that out of people. So and even a lot of times people. And this is just something I've found in my own coaching over the years. When I was a young coach, I did things, and later on in my life, I sort of realized, oh, now I know why I did that. I didn't actually know it was a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. So potentially try and milk the coaches for what they know, and maybe put some what would I say, some structure around that. That fits into. Say for example, you say, oh well, this is how I do it, Lav. You say, this is how I do it, and I can sort of have a look at it and go, shucks, that's a good idea. This is why it works, because it fits into this sort of like learning model, or you've just used a coaching on the run technique, which is which is great, and that's why your players respond to you. Or even from a cultural point of view, when you're trying to build that team environment, and as Greg said before, it's a reciprocal thing that you've allowed the players to do all this sort of stuff, and that's why your teams are so good. I always call it the art is in concealing the art. When things, if you know what you're doing, you're creating an environment where things happen. People don't know why they're happening, but they just happen because of what you've created in the background. No one takes credit for it, but people come into teams and they can't figure out why this team that they were in was so great. Why did things click for us? But if from a coach's point of view, if you're strategic and you know what you're doing in creating those sorts of spaces, things will happen. And maybe within the groups, we need to get all that feedback from what they do and then sort of say, keep doing that because this is how it's impacting your team.
Greg, how important do you think it is to be able to establish the objectives of the learner in an environment like this where we're coaching the coaches?
In my mind, the learning's been coaches and the players ultimately. I think establishing the objectives makes things focused. Darryl talks about drilling into the understanding of the collective group, but I think if we in providing mechanisms by which that richness is extracted and shared, I think if we're clear on the objectives and where we're heading, and we have an objective-based environment, then we know how we're attaching information to what we're trying to learn. I'm assuming I'll be running some sessions around set piece, and and it could get particularly boring if you don't want to learn about pushing, but that's a hell of an exciting context if that's what you're into. But let's extract those objectives to understand how we might apply what we know, and not only to a Scrum context, but to other things as well. So I think collective understanding and collective objectives, really important.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think one of the things that really enabled such awesome sharing last year was the approachability of the presenters, and I'm looking forward to more of the same this year. I think the people that show up this year are really in for a treat.
Can we get Darryl to make sure that Darryl's available to model some of the scrumming techniques? He's particularly good at it.
Can I just add though? I've always been a backs coach, tack and that, and just as an example, what Greg did for me as a coach educator, he came and did some work with the team that I had, and just set me up so that and I've spent a few seasons now being a scrum coach, but it was just the idea of just this game is so bloody simple. But the way that it was broken down, the scrum into three parts, the set up to center line phase, the push phase, and the delivery phase, and how to coach that just makes everything real easy, and then break down each role within the scrum. So if we can do that in the past, the way Greg did for me, I mean, as I say, I'd never been a scrum coach in my life, but I was in a situation where I had to be, because we couldn't find anyone else to do it, and it actually ended up. I actually really enjoyed it as you started to understand. Not only that, I think, Greg, after you worked with me, you did the sessions with Tana Umanga as well, when he started in his professional life coaching. So again, he sort of had no idea about scrums, and Greg just explained as he did to me and to Tana, that it's just a push contest. That's all it is. But we just got to push together at the same time and all that, and how you piece that together was so simple. So, if we do get Greg to do some of that scrum stuff, I think he'd be in for a real treat. So,
thank you, Darryl. So it's all a concussion. I really had to make it simple, so I understood it.
I think the key thing we're looking for when we get to this summit, it would be great, a big help for us, or make things more beneficial. If whenever you come if you're coming to the summit, make sure you come with the mindset you want to get something out of it. So, and if you can let us know that on the first day, then we can work around that and discuss that. If we've got a group of 100 coaches there's 100 brains in the room that may have the solutions, but we can help facilitate, get that out of people, and also put our own thinking caps on. But yeah, it would really help us, and probably one of the first things we're going to do at the summit will be asking all the participants just to write it down, put it on a little bit of a post-it thing. We'll stick it on the wall, and we'll make sure we try and cover everything you need from the course. And if there's anything specific, like obviously, I live in New Zealand. Greg lives in, I don't know, an island in Fiji somewhere. I'm not sure, but we our situation's probably different. We don't have snow where I am, so we don't. We're not sort of don't have to do too many indoor trainings. But if that's something we need to think about and how we put this stuff into a 20 by 20 room. Geez, I'd love to learn that too, because here in New Zealand, sometimes we have to go indoors when it rains. So it'd be great to take some of those ideas away from you guys as well.
Where would a prospective participant go to sign up for the conference?
Hey, thanks guys. That was a really, really great chat. Really appreciate your time, and really looking forward to the second summit. I think it's going to be even more fun, greater learnings than last year. Thanks for making this happen, Nav, and looking forward to catching up with you again. Coaches, to sign up, if you go to the rugby site locker.com and click on the summits menu, there will be a menu option for Queen's University Summit 2026. Click on that and sign up. There'll be a link at the end of this for you to click on as well to make it even easier. And plus, you'll see us in the social medias from the Queen's social media, Rugby Ontario and Rugby Canada. You'll see those flyers and various resources coming out in the coming weeks. So they'll all have registration links as well. Thanks for your time, guys.
That's great.
We'll see you in April.